And I just returned about a month ago from Italy, and I had the best vacation of my life. It was wonderful. Today I'm going to cook with a tomato sauce, and they call their tomato sauce ragu. And I'm going to cook with, I have a boneless piece of pork here, and I'm going to put it in some tomato sauce and cook it very slow for a couple of hours, and then I'm going to shred it up and I'm going to make homemade pappardelle noodles that are going to be delicious. So I'm going to start with first by salt and peppering my meat. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do both sides. I'm going to turn my stove on, and I have some olive oil in here. I'm going to add a little bit more. And I'm going to add some whole garlic cloves. And we are going to raise this up. Let those start sauteing. And you know, in Italy, everything is fresh. The pastas, the breads, everywhere they go, anything that you eat was caught that day, and the vegetables were picked normally on their local farms, and it was just delicious. So let me just saute this garlic a little bit. Raise this up. Just going to give that a minute there. Okay, so I'm going to brown this piece of meat up on both sides. Just going to set this into the pan. And we're just going to leave it alone there and let it brown up. I am going to get started on my homemade pasta. Now, you can do everything by hand. Of course, I have the machine that does most of my work for me, which I love this machine. So in here, I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour and a half a cup of semolina flour. You can use Durham flour. You can use all semolina if you want. I like this combination myself. And I'm going to add to that 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add 4 eggs right into the middle of the flour. And I'm going to add a little bit of Borelli extra virgin olive oil. Okay, and then I'm going to slowly start mixing this up with my dough hook. Now with this machine, I have to constantly push the flour around and work it around. So you just want to incorporate this. Okay, I'm just going to let this mix up a little. I'm going to check on this meat over here. Just going to lightly brown it on both sides. So I'm going to brown it up on this side. Okay, I am going to add just a couple drops of lukewarm water. And see, it's all gathered up. And I'm just going to work it a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take this out of here. And then I am going to just add just a little bit of flour. I'm going to pick this up. A little bit of flour. And then I like to work it a little bit with my hands. It's just kind of, so it's not sticky anymore. And I just turn it and work with it. So I'm going to let that piece of meat cook up a little bit more, and I'm going to remove it. I'm going to just work with this a few minutes, and then I'm going to let it rest before I start making the homemade pasta. So when we come back, I will start putting the rest of the ingredients into that sauce. This meat is nicely browned up, so I'm just going to set it aside. And now I'm going to start adding my sauce ingredients. So I'm going to add just a little bit more olive oil. And we are going to add some chopped onions. And some chopped carrots. And everything came from Nino Salvaggio's. And some chopped celery. Very, very small. We're just going to saute this for a few minutes. And we'll start adding a little salt. And some pepper. A little pepper. Okay, so in the meantime, I'll start on the pasta. So this pasta is beautiful, just beautiful to work with. So what I do is I just cut a little piece off and I flour it really, really, really good. And then I have this pasta contraption that goes onto my mixer. And I'm going to start with the widest end first. I just flatten the dough down, and I'm going to just put it on low and start with the widest end first. And then I'm going to keep moving it to make it thinner. And this one is nicely floured, so I don't need to add any more flour at the moment. Okay, now to make the homemade pappardelle is what I like to do, of course, is I like everything neat. So I'm going to square this off just so everything is even. And then I'm going to add some more flour and make sure I get it all on my corners. I'm going to fold it. I'm going to flour it a little bit more because the more flour you put on, you don't want it to stick. And I'm going to fold it again. A little more flour. And then I'm going to take it, oops, I'm just going to kind of loosely roll it up. I think I got it uneven here. I'm just going to square these off again. I'm not going to use that piece. And I'm going to make wide ribbons. And hopefully this didn't stick. And then I'm just going to undo this, put it here, undo it here. You just got to make sure you get in between here so it doesn't stick, and you make them wide. That's the beauty of this pasta. It's just so light and airy. Oh, it's really, really good. It's one of my favorites. See, okay. then one. I can't see because my eyes are kind of bad here. Okay, and then one more piece. And then I would keep making these, and I would take them and just kind of wrap them around my hands like this, evenly wrap them up, and I would make little pasta bundles. And I would make a whole bunch of them, and you can do this ahead of time, and I just would loosely do that and just set them out and just leave them. And I would fill up the whole pan, and if I'm going to do them that day, of course, I would use them right away. Or if I'm going to use them the next day, I'd leave them on the counter a little bit, and then I would use them for the next day. So I just take, you know, the nice dough, and like I said, just flatten it out and put a lot of flour on it. So we'll come back to that, but in the meantime, let's finish our sauce over here. So we have the onions sauteing nicely. Now we're going to add some more ingredients. First, I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil because this absorbed it. And I'm going to add some anchovies to that. Now the anchovies, actually, when you saute them in the olive oil, they start dissolving. Now in Italy, that was one thing that we ate so much of. And if you don't, like my daughter Stephanie does not like anchovies, but the way they did them, they were fresh. And we went and we cleaned them ourselves and we marinated them in lemon juice. We can't get fresh anchovies here because we don't have them. But I'm going to tell you, everywhere you went, that's what you had as an appetizer, and they were delicious. I wish we had them, but we don't. Okay, and I'm going to add a little bit more red pepper flakes, little spicy. And now I'm going to add some red wine. So like I said, this is coming from the Rome area. So I'm going to put some red wine, and I'm just going to let it cook down for a few minutes, and then I'm going to add some tomatoes. So we're going to take a little break. When I come back, I'm going to add I'm going to have the tomatoes already in here, but I want to show you my tomatoes first. These are my tomatoes that I canned myself. I was being domestic. My husband and I did 6 bushels of tomatoes, and they're so good. Now, of course, if you don't can your own, the next best thing is go to Salvaggio's and get Borelli's tomatoes, and they are just delicious. So I'm going to add these now. I'm going to take a break. Now over to the sauce. I put the meat back in, and I have it up to a boil, and I'm going to simmer it, and I'm going to add just a little bit of sugar because my fresh tomatoes sometimes are a little tart. So you just want to add just a little bit of sugar to get them to be a nice sweet. And then I'm going to add some fresh chopped basil. And now I'm going to let this cook for a couple of hours till that meat tenderizes. And then we're going to shred it up and put it over the homemade pasta. It's going to be delicious. Okay, so let's just leave that here. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, everything is done. The sauce came beautiful. Sauce came good. And I'm going to put just a little bit onto the pasta because, like I said, everything is light. And I'm just going to kind of mix it a little bit. And I'm going to take the shredded meat, and normally I would put it back into the sauce, but I'm going to put it right on top of here. I mean, doesn't that look delicious? And maybe a drop more, because I'm telling you, they don't use a lot of sauce. Now this, we would put cheese on it. So I'm going to add a little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, and I'm going to just add some fresh parsley on the top of it. Oh, that looks delicious. Let's see, taste a little bite right here.